Hello and welcome to the first update of The Case of the Tin Soldier. Our first port of call will be General Armstead's residence.
I found the general leaning over the display case. He had his saber in hand, the one that usually resides above the fireplace.
I understand he was a collector of military figures.
Yes, the display in the study shows the last great British charge that swept the French from Waterloo.
Is there any significance to the fact that the figure of Napoleon is facing backward?
How strange. Perhaps I should go and set it straight.
No, don't touch it. Not until the police have concluded their investigation.
Oh, yes, of course.
I also noticed the portrait over the display case.
The late Mrs. Armstead.
Do I detect a note of hostility?
I must admit we did not get on very well. But I might say that Mrs. Armstead did not get on very well with anyone, including the general.
You mean they didn't marry for love?
Hardly. Lord Fitch, Mrs. Armstead's father, arranged the match. Her dowry was very generous. Lord Fitch would have paid any amount to ensure that he would not be left with a spinster daughter, especially such a nasty one.
If there was no love lost between them, why did he keep her portrait in his study?
Actually, it was put up there to needle Mrs. Armstead's brother, the present Lord Fitch. He never approved of the marriage. Even after her death, they were involved with mutual business affairs. They jointly owned stock or some such thing.
Tell me, do you know what the general was doing at the time the intruder arrived?
Yes, he was working on the new section of his book, the part that concerns the gem, the Polar Star. It was very interesting, really. It traces the ownership of the gem to the brother of Napoleon, to the Russian Count Rostov. Unfortunately, the gem was stolen from the Count 3 years ago. As a matter of fact, the general just received a letter from a Pierre Montan, who said that he was willing to divulge the name of the present owner of the gem for the agreed-upon fee.
Do you know where Mr. Montan might be found?
I believe he's staying at the Bridge House Hotel.
Did the general have any encounters with anyone out of the ordinary in the past several days?
Not really. An old friend of his has been in town, Jean-Paul Girard. Neither the general nor I have seen him in 40 years. In fact, they were going to meet this afternoon at the French Embassy.
I'm obviously curious about the general's last visitor. Could you describe him, please?
He was an old man, a rather short fellow. He walked with a cane and carried a carpet bag.
Did he give a name?
No. He simply wanted to see the general, and he handed me a letter to take in to him.
Did you read it?
No. It was in an envelope, rather yellowed with age, though I noticed it was addressed in a graceful hand to Captain Armstead, 12th Hussars, the general's old regiment. When the general read it, he went very pale. Then he asked me to admit the gentleman.
Tell me, when you finally got into the room from the garden, were the study doors still locked?
Yes.
I noticed that there is an 8-foot fence surrounding the garden, and that the only way into the garden or out of it is through the kitchen door or the study.
How terribly observant, Holmes.
That interview was very important. The person we actually spoke to is David Sennett, and the reason why I didn't add him to the list is that when we actually visit David Sennett, it gives us the exact same video clip. And as much as he is a person of interest and a very important witness, that's about as far as it goes. I'll make a note next to General Armstead's name. Anyway, the next port of call is Norgate and Co.
General Armstead's book has been a very controversial subject from the start.
I understand the original publication caused quite a stir among the public.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, you know, of course, that many of the treasures listed in the book had in fact been stolen by their present owners. That revelation caused quite a sensation, and we were delighted. The more libel suits that were pressed against us, the more the book sold.
May I ask why the General chose to revise an already successful book?
There was one piece of critical information missing from the first edition. It was the whereabouts of a fabulous diamond called the Polar Star.
Seems to be a very popular gem.
Indeed. So you can imagine his excitement when last March he received a letter from a Frenchman by the name of Pierre Martin, who claimed to know where the diamond was. He had even provided a detailed description of how the gem was stolen from its last known owner, a Russian fella, a Count Rostov. He said the thief was an Englishman.
Might you know his name?
Martin wouldn't tell unless we paid. As I understand, he was in town a day or so ago and had tried to set up a meeting with the General. Unfortunately, I don't believe they had a chance to meet.
And next up is Robert Jurgens, who is another Tontine ticket holder.
Captain, did you know General Armstead?
Armpit, you say?
Armstead.
Oh, Armstead. I knew that bloke. A jolly good fellow. Sat next to me at the last shindig back in '65. The 50th anniversary and all that rot. We had a grand old time swapping lies about her adventures on foreign shores. He swore by French damsels, but I argued for the China ladies. I hope they catch the deck rat who killed him and hang him proper.
Have you seen the General since the 1865 banquet?
I've never seen the General with a blanket.
No, since the banquet.
Oh. No.
May I ask, what are your plans for the Tontine money should you win it?
Spend as much of it as I can while I'm still alive and kicking, and leave the rest of it to the Seamen's Fund when I'm dead. Or some people think I should leave it to my only kin, me nephew, Booth Lacey. I never would, mind you. He's a bit of a laggard, has never done an honest day's work in his life. Should I outlast the others and be found the next day with my skull bashed in, look to Booth. He's sure to be holding the club in his hand.
Oh. This man seems to have something against blankets for some reason. Anyway, let's go and speak to Peter Dudley now.
Now, what can I be doing for you, Governor?
I'm working with Sherlock Holmes. We're looking into the unfortunate death of General Farnsworth Armstead.
Oh, of course. I've just come off a job, I have. My apologies for not looking me usual spit-polished self.
Oh, don't bother, I hardly noticed.
Make yourself at home. I wish the missus were here to offer up some tea.
That's quite all right. I won't keep you long.
Heard about the General. Didn't know him, of course. Had no cause to wish him harm, Tontine or no. But I've got to look at it philosophical-like. I'm the youngest now, so I've got the best chance of lasting the longest.
And last but not least, Anita and Claire Thomas.
Would you care for some tea?
Thank you, no.
It's really quite good. We were just going to have some ourselves.
I really won't be staying long.
We get visitors so seldom.
Did you know the General?
We suppose he was at the last anniversary banquet. But we don't believe we ever met him. We were so sorry to hear of his death. It is such a pity.
Well, so, I imagine you ladies have thought about what you'd do if you won the Tontine money.
We have no living relatives, so there's no one
to share it with should we win. We need very little to
get by on. Undoubtedly, we would leave it to
the Ladies' League for the Preservation of Finches.
And there we have it for the detectives. And we will be sending the irregulars back to the Raven and Rat Inn. Okay, maybe this is worth visiting a bit later on with Holmes and or Watson. And that is that. We are off to a pretty decent start. We definitely got some very useful information. And there we have it for this update. The voting will start again soon. Good luck. Thank you for watching.